Say Something. It's like a podcast, but it's a vodcast, so you can listen and watch. It's like news talk or sports talk, but it's life talk, so we can walk the road together. On today's episode, the wonderful Kathleen Fischer, registered nurse, author, life coach, educator, and mother of three, joins us to talk about kids and social media, how to navigate the changing tides with fortitude, respect, and love.
I do a lot of family coaching, and probably not a month goes by, maybe even more often, that I don't hear a train wreck centering on social media. You know, we're all about what's going on in their suitcases, but at the end of the day, I can't live my life out of your suitcase looking for really our issues of safety and decency.
Thanks for joining the conversation. Here we go.
And so we have Kathleen here.
Yay!
Kathleen is like one of our most requested. You just have such a fun way of just bringing back regular wisdom to the picture, which I think we all so desperately need.
I've just been spending some time with some 20 and 30-year-olds, and I'm watching an interesting thing. And of course, the developmental gap between a 13-year-old and a 26-year-old is enormous. But one of them said to me, "So I've taken myself off Facebook." I was like, "Really? Why did you decide to do that?" "It's not good for me." I said, "In what way?" And then they went on and said, "Well, you know, it's sucking my time. It's the kind of conversation that isn't very enriching, blah, 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 blah." And it got us into a whole conversation. And to me, this is the real crux of parenting, is helping a kid say, is this good for me or is it not good for me? Is this leading to what I'm supposed to be about, or is it undermining? Now, that's a tall task for a 13-year-old in any venue. Playing too much sports, running too far a distance, staying up too late watching stupid movies. I mean, you know, in our family, there's a group of cousins who love to watch 1940s musicals, and they work till 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm thinking, really? How fun is this at 3 or apparently it's very fun. Anyway, but is it good for you? And so that seems to me to be a really critical thing. And with this whole social media thing, I mean, it just seems to me that it distills to that thing that you and I mean, our mothers said it to us a million times: do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you. Would you want someone to post this picture of you? Would you want someone to take something you said in privacy and put it up there in front of everybody? Would you want that? But I'm not sure that parents are paying attention, that they're involved, and seeing what's going on. I would not have said this 5 years ago. I'm sorry, I have crossed the line. I do a lot of family coaching, and probably not a month goes by, maybe even more often, that I don't hear a train wreck centering on social media. And so 5 years ago, I would have said, this is your child's private domain. You stay out unless you see reason or sense reason to be in. And I don't say that anymore. Marion Underwood out at UTD says, would we take our kids to the boundary of a foreign country and say, listen, now that there's a lot over there that you're really going to love. There's some danger, but good luck. Let me know how it works out. And turn and walk away. Well, why would we do that in a foreign country that is global, huge, enormous, filled with amazing good stuff, but also, and so I think this whole idea of the parent, it's my device, it's my deal, I'm paying the bills on it, and I will be checking it.
Right.
And I'm looking for safety and decency. And you can let your friends know that too. And then do it. And you know, don't rise for the bait of foul language. I think that's part of rehearsing being a grown-up. Don't rise for, I hate my Spanish teacher, I wish she'd go to hell. you know, that sort of standard. What we're looking for really are issues of safety and decency. Does some person drop in that we've never heard of? Where do they come from? They're writing from another state. Whoa, hold on, who is this person? Or, yes, I'll send you a picture of my junk. On what planet did that seem like a good idea?
Here's a question for you, and it's something that we experience. I know Kay and I have talked about a lot. So my son has seen a decent amount of inappropriate content. Sure. Was first shown via Instagram. And it sent me on this research to really uncover, like, what exactly is in Instagram? And my eyes were wide opened, and there is an incredible amount of pornographic material on Instagram. And so my son's 13 now, and he has friends who don't have private accounts, certainly do not know all of their followers. I know children who are 13 years old who have thousands of followers. Why is the need for popularity? So it gets back into what you were saying. Why is the need for popularity, or parents believing that they need to help their kids feel socially accepted, somehow trumping what might be safe or healthy or enriching for their lives?
That's a dandy question. Who's in 7th grade, I want to say.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I think the concern for our kids' social acceptability, social participation has trumped adult good sense sometimes. And the whole idea of talking badly about somebody being okay, or one of the rules that I throw out, I'm getting ready to teach a class called Life in the Rock Tumbler, parenting middle school kids, because I liken being in middle school to being in a rock tumbler. I give out some rules, and one of them is you invite all or the minority. So if there are 24 girls in your class, you either invite all 24 or fewer than 12. And we know this.
Right.
We know this as adults, that it is cruel and unkind to leave out these three. We just don't like them.
Right.
And yet, you would be astonished how many adults are willing to collude with social cruelty. And I don't understand how we've lost the thread on that. And I think it you know, as you point out, it really causes us to step aside as adults and to say, what is my role for my kid? Is my role to make them popular? Is my role to have them be a straight A student? Is my role? And I don't see any of those as our role. I'm pretty stripped down to our role is to keep them safe as much as we can, and to be sure that they're living in a way that promotes their decency and wholesomeness. And that's everything from being nice to old ladies, helping them across the street, to when somebody says, you know, here's a picture of the cheerleader, send it on, saying, wait a minute, this is not the right thing to do. I don't count on me to be part of this. And that's a challenge right now.
Yeah, I certainly don't think it's unique to here. I think it's a problem that pervades the entire country, if not world.
In fact, I would tell you.
But why is what I'm wondering. Like, how did we get ourselves into this situation where popularity and social engineering has suddenly become the most important thing?
I want to pick that up. Hold that question.
Okay.
One tiny thing, and I just want to say that to me, it seems to be exacerbated in homogeneous communities. So where we're in North Dallas, affluent, well-educated, college-educated, striving professionals, that we tend to sort of all go together. In communities where I go, where there's great disparity, where some of the families are really struggling on welfare, and some are educated, and some are doctors, and some are street sweepers, and some are, you know, then I'm more able to say to my kid, this is the way we do things. Other people do it differently, but in our family we'll do it this way. But where the community is homogeneous, we're having more trouble with that. And it's still the same, It's still the same. How come Mrs. So-and-so will let her kids watch an R-rated movie? Better luck on your next mother, right? So the question that then you said was, where did we lose the thread? I just almost brought this book with me this morning. I just want to put it up on the screen and show and tell. Julie Lithcote-Hames wrote a book called How to Raise an Adult. And we just have to have one whole session on that. She was the dean of freshmen at Stanford for 10 years.
Yeah, it's so good.
Okay, so you would think, here's a woman who's meeting the best America can turn out, right? Mm-hmm. And the stories she tells are amazing, just like our kids, right? Dips all the way, smart dips. Anyway, one of the things that she writes that really struck me was our child's accomplishments become the metrics on our successful parenting. Mm. Now, you stop and think about that. That's really bad. Because if our kid makes the team, if our kid gets the scholarship, if our kid gets the internship, it's really about me. What a great parent I am.
And popularity falls into that?
And popularity.
Oh, absolutely. So where did that switch? Because I just think that, my parents didn't care one bit about how popular I was if it meant I learned a wrong lesson or thought I could get away with something, or they were, I remember my mom sitting in a courthouse with me. She just couldn't wait for the judge I got a speeding ticket when I was 16, and she could not wait for them to just throw the book at me.
Bring down the hammer.
She was like ready for me to get what I had coming. And so I would never speed again, and I would learn my lesson. So what happened, from that to, let me see if I can get you out of it. Let me see if I can make this path okay for you.
Well, that's a very complicated question with a long answer.
And a lot of answers.
And a lot of answers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it is complicated, and it's so many things. Mm-hmm. But I think that what I hear you saying, and what I think this conversation is turning to, which maybe everything does, but it's like, where are you finding your self-worth?
Yes.
And so
what's my job on the planet? Right. What am I
about? Or just who am I? Mm-hmm. Everybody's wondering that. Who am I? And so you have definitely in a very high octane way that's ever changing, these pressures to be, to do that don't seem to stop, which we know isn't good. Anything that's like super fast and speedy, you can't really find the grounding. And so any of the roots only go a little bit, they're shallow, they aren't deep, and so they're easily blown to and fro.
Sure.
And do you have any specific points or ideas on how to do that, yet do the best to maintain their independence and respecting them?
Yes.
Because on these platforms, not only is it the indecency, it's the stuff that they see about them. That and by that, I don't mean like a bad picture or something like that. They could have a friend who texts them, man, I made a 95 on that test, I did so bad. Well, it's like zinging to the heart of the kid that their best is a 75. Really and truly, happy day. That's not a big deal. But when those are the texts that are always coming in, those are little zingers that stick. And it's sort of like because it's not just, I'm looking at this to police you. It's sort of like, I'm looking at this too because you're going to get messages that aren't really true about you.
Right.
And I love you. I'm in this for you. So do you have any, as you've walked this road, my friend that is so geared on, man, let these kids do it. How do you do this environment that way?
I can't remember if we shared this one before, but look, here's the thing. In high school, I made mostly all A's, except for one D in chemistry, which when my father would have these brothers, and on report card day, we were to put our report cards on his dinner plate.
Really?
Right. So all of us,
But didn't you love that you got report
so
cards?
all of us were sitting around. There
all
was
day, every day.
Yeah, there was no way to hide out, right?
Yeah.
Because my brother's report cards were on Dad's plate. So I thought, I'll slide mine in there. And my brother, just older than me, was not a good student, so he was always in trouble. So I was hoping, my dad would sort of sign mine and then turn his wrath on my brother. No way. So I'm not kidding. I was so tense. I just wanted to throw up. Sitting at the dinner table, I thought, oh my gosh, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. And he looked at it and he took out his pen. And he looked over the top of his glasses at me. And he said, what the hell is this? And he swore like a sailor. And I said, Daddy, I made a D. I was so lucky I didn't flunk. He said, did you give your best? I said, more than. He said, okay.
Aww.
And everybody around, all my brothers are going, how did she get that? But it was the same kind of, how do we help this kid take responsibility and step forward and look at them and see what they're doing.
That's a great example, Kathleen.
And the truth of it is that one of my favorite stories, I want to say Max Lucado. Have I told this on this before? I don't think so. I think it's Max Lucado, Cure for the Common Life. And he talks about a man who's invited to speak in another city and to give an after-dinner talk in another city. And I probably have the details wrong, but it's sort of like this.
I love that.
His flight is delayed as he's leaving his hometown, and then he gets to the other city and it's raining and the traffic is terrible. He gets to the hotel and he just barely has enough time to check in and get cleaned up before the people are going to come and pick him up. And so he gets up to his room and he shaves and he showers and he opens his suitcase to get dressed, and inside it are a mini skirt and a blouse with a plunging neckline and stiletto heels. And Lucado poses the question, does he dress in it? And you have this interesting picture conjured of the after-dinner speaker in the stiletto heels. But then he goes on to say, each of us comes into the world with a suitcase that's packed for us. Our job is to figure out what's in it and what we're supposed to do to build a life pleasing to God. And okay, so I love that metaphor, and it has fueled more conversations for me. The first thing I would say is most of us spent junior high looking at other people's suitcases.
Right.
How come I'm not smart like her? Gosh, if I could only have blonde, straight hair, I'd be happy. Why can't I spike the volleyball? We're all about what's going on in their suitcases. But at the end of the day, I can't live my life out of your suitcase or my brother's or my parents'. Right? I can only live with what I've got. So then the second thing is I have to figure that out. And here's the interesting part. Often a parent will spot something in a child's suitcase before the kid spots it.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
That's a great
I
point.
had a kid that just had this innate sense of order. And I thought it was so odd. I mean, she would put things in rows and put them in color codes a year ago. And it's just a little kid. And I think, boy, that's weird. And it turns out that's one of her gifts. It's in her suitcase as clearly as anything. And so the second thing is, how do we help our kids get over looking at other people's suitcases and just live in my own and figure out what's in there? Now, the third thing is everybody's got some junk in their suitcase, some bad stuff, that if you could remove it, you would. You have an alcoholic parent. You have the suicide of a sib. You have drug addiction in your family. You have a learning disability. You have a brother who's deaf. Something that if you could, you would pitch out of your suitcase. And I just maintain, as a person of faith, every single thing in that suitcase ultimately has worth and value for us in what we're called to do.
Yes.
And how do we assure a 13-year-old that learning disabilities, that making that 75 when their friend made a 95 and is groaning about it, that you're not called to be so-and-so, you're just called to be you. And you don't have to please me, you don't have to please the coach or the scoutmaster, you have to please the source of your gifts. And that's...
So
figure that out.
So how do we help equip
let's
them?
Let's savor
It's
for
a-
a moment.
right.
That was so good.
It's a wonderful metaphor, and I love it, and I'm going to use it.
Thank
But
you,
I
Max.
need a little bit more. So coach me a little bit more. How do we equip our kids to take what's in their suitcase and to, as successfully as they can, manage the onslaught of comparison, bullying, nasty comments, temptation that they are for sure going to find on social media? Even if they don't have social media, their friend next to them is going to show them their social media account. So they're for sure going to be exposed one way or another. How do they take what God's given them and use it?
And be okay.
And be okay.
So my question would be, how big a window, time-wise, are you willing to allow a child to learn that?
That's a great question.
Oh.
I know, and then it's like breathe.
Were you thinking it was going to come full-blown from the head of Zeus at 11? It's
you
not.
know, can we wish?
No, but I don't think you want to. I'm just going to
No.
say, and I've really, having walked this road, I really do love in Scripture, even just going back to a person of faith, usually the Lord works in like 7 to 40 year
sure.
increments, And so it's like, if I can start to frame it in that, back away from the instant society, which personally I find really helps, because if I'm backing off of instant, then naturally the gravitation is to back off instant, and it feels better. Like it doesn't feel so frenzied, or those woulds, coulds, and shoulds and musts. Actually, the volume is turned down a bit, and so I think that what Kathleen's saying, how long are you willing to wait?
It's a great question.
And
That's
we look
painful.
at it and see, we already know it because we were already in 5th grade.
But it's the
grade, ninth
reminder. You gotta remind.
And we didn't learn. I mean, probably each one of us here can tell that horrible experience where you gossiped about someone and it came back and bit you. And in that lesson you went, note to self, not a good idea to gossip about my friends. Okay, got it. Only I probably didn't get it the first time around.
I was just going to say the same thing, only I stumbled 1,400
That's okay.
times.
Yeah.
And then you mature, like your 26-year-old that said, I'm getting off of Facebook because it hurts. He's 26. Okay, so what was paving his road to be able to allow him to land in a spot where today he's getting off? A month from now he may get back on, and it's that dance with figuring out how to live healthily in the midst of these things.
And I like the dance. It's back and forth.
Right.
So I thought this was going to work, but it didn't work quite like I thought it was going to do. So I'm going to adapt it, and then I'm going to do this. It's like an experimental life. And our kid's in the middle of it. Okay, so what does that mean? That means absolutely, positively, for sure, every single child is going to screw up. Every single one. Because there aren't any. And we nod and we go, oh, of course, my kid's not perfect. Really? So the first time you get the call from the police station, you're going to go, remember that imperfect kid? Here he comes. We say it, we give it lip service, but then when our kid isn't perfect, it just, and it's back to what you said, Kay, we love that kid. We're just crazy for them, and we know they're a better kid than being in the police station would indicate.
Is it riskier today, though, because everything can be captured online and it stays there forever?
Well, it certainly gives one pause for thought.
It does.
Yeah. I'm so glad that some things I did in middle school or high school are not still with us.
Amen.
Yeah.
For sure. In those areas where it's like, go back to their luggage. Who are they? It's messy. Relationship is messy. And it takes a long time. And there's beauty in that. It's like the relationship is beautiful in those things. And so in this area where social media and just all things internet is strange, and we don't really know the lay of the land. So number one, I hear you saying, get in the middle of it. Like, just be aware. How you do that while being respectful of them, how do you do that?
I just read, New York Times had an article January the 5th this month, and the title of it is Rules for Social Media Created by Kids.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and the interesting part is it's not created by kids as in formalized. It's what they have evolved as being reasonable rules. Okay, for example, you can post a bikini or bathing suit picture only if you're with your siblings or family in the picture.
Only if what?
If you're with your siblings or your family.
I love that.
Now that's
interesting.
middle school. By high school, a staging a bikini picture is often acceptable, considered body positive in some. The important thing about this
is interesting.
Yeah, the rules are formed by the kids. So here are some rules. Share your vacation photos in a way that don't seem like you're bragging. It's okay to post some pictures from a fun event, but not too many.
Okay.
Don't show off with how fancy your house or how fancy your hotel is, because it might make other people feel bad.
Oh, I love that.
Another one was, how many pictures can you send from an event? Like, if we're all going somewhere and leave that girl out, we need to be mindful of it. And one kid says, and so don't ever lie about, I have to stay home and do my homework, if you're really going with your friends, because then when somebody posts pictures to social media, they know you're not only
busted.
You're busted. Right? You're also a liar. I like that.
You're also a liar.
And I think this is a great parent tip, is to, the parents need to know that their children's peers have created their own set of social media. Sit down with your kids and ask, what are the rules in your group of friends? For what are you allowed to post and what's off limits? Are the rules the same for girls and for boys? Could you show me an example of a good post? Can you show me an example of a bad post? Does social media ever stress you out? How can your kids in your group make text or social media nicer for everybody?
Oh, those are powerful.
Those are powerful conversations. They need to start early and persist late. Help me understand how social media is for you. I don't totally get it.
I love that.
Yeah. And introduce me. Show me a good one. Show me a bad one. Okay, right off the bat they go, well, I don't know. Really? Well, time to start thinking about that, you know?
Let's dig a little.
Yeah,
And they probably do more than they think they do.
I love the question, what are the rules? What are the rules for your group? Because I think most kids would say, well, gosh, you know, we don't have rules. It's not like this is a classroom or the school has set up rules, right? But to ask them to think about that, I mean, we all have rules within our social groups. There are things that are acceptable and things that are not.
And see, what a great conversation that becomes, because what's the rule about getting drunk?
Right.
What's the rule about driving someone else home drunk? What's the rule about telling parents about them being drunk? Because the rules become much more nuanced and much more complex as they grow up. And, you know, it's such a great conversation to be having.
Which is another conversation.
Un otro día.
Yes, I love that. Espanol. All right. Thanks for joining us. Wow. And we're just going to encourage everybody to go say something to your kids and to the person next to you that's encouraging and uplifting in this area of social media, to encourage each other and walk it alongside together.
And if you want to hear more about this, we're starting classes on boys this week and on Life in the Rock coming this week.
And we're going to help Kathleen figure out how to video it. So anyway, thanks for joining us.